All right, let's dive right into this explainer and uncover why the fitness industry's massive obsession with calorie deficits might actually be working completely against your biology. Look, if you've been stuck dealing with stubborn fat for years, tried counting absolutely every single morsel you eat, hit the treadmill for hours on end, and still got absolutely nowhere, well, we're going to look at exactly why that happens. Today, we're shifting the focus from starving ourselves to understanding how your body actually processes the food you eat. If you've ever felt totally exhausted, starved, and just endlessly frustrated while meticulously counting every single calorie, I need you to know that you are not alone. And more importantly, it is absolutely not your fault. When we just blindly restrict our calories, yeah, sure, we might lose a bit of weight temporarily. But let's be real, we almost always end up putting it right back on. And sometimes it's even more than before. Why? Because we're essentially starving ourselves of vital energy and nutrients, without ever addressing the underlying biological reason our bodies decided to store that fat in the first place. Okay, moving on to section 1, the fat loss lie. Here is the harsh truth. You've basically been lied to. Your body is a wildly complex chemistry lab governed by hormones, not some simple desk calculator running strictly on the laws of thermodynamics. Now, those laws make perfect sense in a vacuum, but you aren't a robot, right? You're a living, breathing human being. When you just count calories without looking at the quality of the food, you're treating all energy as equal. And biologically speaking, it just isn't. Now, this is absolutely crucial. Carrying excess weight isn't just about aesthetics, it is about critical internal function. We spend so much time worrying about subcutaneous fat, the stuff on our arms or legs that we can actually pinch. But the real danger? That's visceral fat. That's the fat surrounding your vital organs. Specifically, fat packing around the liver is incredibly concerning because your liver literally performs over 500 vital metabolic functions. If your liver is wrapped in fat and struggling to do its job, your entire metabolic system is just going to misfire. Which brings us to section 2, the insulin trap. So every single time you eat, your brain has to make a pretty massive decision. Right up at the top of your brainstem sits the hypothalamus. Think of it as the ultimate master regulator. When food enters your system and gets broken down, your hypothalamus basically has two choices. It can either release that energy for you to use right now, or it can hit the panic button and store it away as body fat to protect you from a future famine. But how does the hypothalamus actually know which choice to make? Well, it relies entirely on the hormonal instructions of the food you just ate. If you eat a 200-calorie avocado, your body gets the hormonal signal to release that energy for immediate use. Awesome, right? But if you eat a heavily processed 200-calorie cereal bar, that rapid blood sugar spike sends a completely different instruction. That energy is instantly shipped off to storage as body fat. So you see, a calorie isn't just a calorie, it's literally an instruction manual for your hormones. And the main player reading those instructions? Yup, that's insulin. Insulin is your storage hormone. When the hypothalamus detects those rapid spikes in blood sugar, which usually come from carbohydrates and highly processed foods, it tells the pancreas to pump out insulin. And insulin's main job is to scoop up that extra energy and lock it away as fat for a rainy day. This is exactly why carbs and sugars cause those rapid spikes, locking away your energy and leaving you feeling totally wiped out, even right after you've just eaten. Let's move right along to section 3, real food versus products. Now, there is a totally fascinating biological relationship between energy density and insulin. Carbohydrates have 4 calories per gram, but they cause high, super rapid insulin spikes. Fats, on the other hand, have 9 calories per gram. That's more than double the energy, yet their insulin response is incredibly low and slow. And because fats don't spike your insulin, your body doesn't panic and store them. They actually provide you with an abundance of steady energy, completely avoiding that fat storage famine response. But hey, it's not just about macronutrients. It is about what your body can actually absorb. We call this bioavailability. Real natural foods come packaged by nature with essential micronutrients that actually help your body convert those calories into usable energy. Take a simple egg, for example. It has about 6 grams of protein, and your body can easily use all of it. Now compare that to some highly processed protein bar claiming to pack 20 grams of protein, but it's just loaded with artificial sweeteners and laboratory chemicals. Your body really struggles to break that down, which puts a massive strain on your whole digestive system. Honestly, the source material urges us to just completely ignore those flashy marketing buzzwords. When you see stuff like high protein or low fat plastered across a brightly colored box, you are just looking at consumer psychology at work. If a food item comes in a shiny packet with a paragraph-long list of laboratory ingredients, stabilizers, and emulsifiers, it's not actual food, it's a product. It's a product engineered in a lab, specifically designed to make money and keep you coming back for more.
Okay, section 4. Becoming fat adapted.
So almost everyone carrying around stubborn excess weight suffers from a condition called hyperinsulinemia. That's a big word, but it just means there is way too much insulin constantly circulating in your bloodstream. And remember, because insulin is a storage hormone, having it constantly elevated physically locks you out of your own fat stores. You become metabolically inflexible. It's the ultimate paradox, really. You're walking around carrying thousands of calories of stored fat energy, yet you feel completely exhausted and totally dependent on constant carbohydrate hits just to get through your afternoon. The goal here is to reverse this entire situation by becoming what's known as fat adapted. Let's break down the timeline. In week 1, you start minimizing carbs and increasing real single-ingredient fats. By around week 4, something truly incredible happens. Those constant, gnawing hunger sensations, they begin to completely vanish because your baseline insulin has finally dropped. By week 12, you are fully fat adapted. By controlling your insulin over this time frame, you literally flip a biological switch. You're teaching your body to feast on its own stored fat reserves, meaning you never have to feel deprived or starving again.
All right, let's get into the practical stuff. Section 5, the daily blueprint.
The first major shift we need to talk about is meal timing. Embrace yourself for this one, because the idea that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, it's actually a massive myth. When you wake up, your liver naturally releases stored energy to get you going. If you eat a heavy carbohydrate breakfast early in the morning, you are just spiking your blood sugar right on top of that natural release. That is exactly why you crash a few hours later. The blueprint instead suggests fasting with just water in the morning, having your first meal around midday, and your second meal around 6 p.m. So what do these meals actually look like on a plate? Well, for your first meal, grab some whole eggs and a natural fat source, like half an avocado. For your second meal, you want a generous portion of fatty animal protein, like a nice ribeye steak or chicken thighs with the skin left on. Throw in a couple more fat choices, like olives or cheese, and pair the whole thing with cruciferous veggies, like spinach or cauliflower. You really want to stick strictly to this single-ingredient blueprint. Absolutely no snacking between meals, because snacking spikes insulin, and completely ban highly inflammatory vegetable seed oils from your kitchen. Stick to cooking only in butter, ghee, or coconut oil. Now, I know you might be looking at that menu and worrying about all the conventional advice you've heard over the years, so let's address that directly. Do not fear salt, and do not fear the cholesterol in egg yolks or red meat. The biological reality here is that your liver produces 3 times the amount of cholesterol you could ever possibly eat in a single day. It's a completely essential building block for cellular repair and brain function. Plus, humans are literally salt beings. We sweat salt, we cry salt, we excrete salt. You absolutely need sodium to function optimally, so please, salt your real food to taste. So let's bring this all together. If you want real, lasting fat loss, it basically comes down to 3 simple steps. First, stop triggering insulin spikes. You have to step off the blood sugar roller coaster. Second, eat single-ingredient, nutrient-dense real foods that provide you with steady energy without triggering that famine response. And third, stop punishing yourself with endless, exhausting cardio sessions that honestly just make you hungrier. Go for a nice walk instead. If you do this, you are no longer just blindly cutting calories, you're actually fixing the hormonal root cause of weight gain. Which really leaves us with one final, absolutely crucial question to ask yourself before you sit down to eat. Are you feeding your body with real nutrients, or are you just triggering a famine hormone? I want you to think carefully before your next meal, because every single bite is an instruction manual telling your brain exactly what to do with that energy. Treat your biology with respect, give it the right instructions, and I promise you, your body will take care of the rest. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.